I've been spending a lot of time the past week considering the implications of Instagram therapy. If you don't know what that is, it's when some kind of life coach or psychotherapist or other kind of guide offers helpful tips for mental health healing on Instagram or other forms of social media. A lot of their information is very helpful. I've found myself drawn to some of the posts. Some of the information really resonates with me because I've experienced it in my own healing. What I'm realizing is there are limitations to this kind of therapy. The so-called traditional or conventional mental health community has been giving some pushback to this kind of help. I think they are responding to these missing pieces, but they're not putting it in an accurate way. They're claiming that people aren't skilled enough, they don't have the correct advanced degrees. I don't think that's really why Instagram therapy has a limit. I think there are many people out there who are skilled in helping others who don't have advanced degrees. They might call themselves life coaches or wellness gurus or even intuitives or psychic. All of these people are capable of helping others, of healing emotional wounds. They don't need an advanced degree to provide that kind of help. What I think is missing are things that can only happen in a one-on-one or small group relationship. The first of these things is safety. As human beings, we're organized to feel safe. Sometimes the perception of safety is a real one, where we need to protect ourselves from danger. And sometimes safety is a response to something that has happened in our past and is not happening now, but our bodies have created a habit to protect ourselves. In a large group setting, in Instagram comments, or in a group with, on Facebook with thousands of members, it's really hard for someone who has an issue with safety or an injury around safety to feel safe. They are afraid of being vulnerable. When they might try to be vulnerable, they'll have people who maybe aren't skilled or downright inept at providing help, and it causes more harm than it heals. In a one-on-one or group small group setting, the leader of that group or the counselor or therapist or whatever that person calls themselves, the guide, is able to set up that space in a way that provides safety. They provide guidelines, they provide direction, they kind of put boundaries around that space. Without that, people don't feel safe to share. The next thing that's missing from the therapeutic process is relationship. When someone's talking to thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, even a million followers, there's no relationship there. That person might speak to some of their commenters, might like some of the comments, but there's no real connection there. Just as wounding happens in our relationship with others, that's also where healing happens. We all have the internal strength to heal ourselves, but when we don't know what that looks like, it's hard to model it for ourselves. For example, if you don't know what compassion looks like in your life from someone else, it's hard to do that for yourself. Part of a healing relationship is their ability to listen deeply. To know that that person really understands where you're coming from, knows your journey, and has a sense of how to send you on your next steps. This is different from perception and being misunderstood. People perceive you through the lens of their own experience, and we can let that go. But if you're in a healing relationship with someone, they should really get to know you, and they can only do that through listening. Speaking from my own experience, I don't feel listened to when I'm making a comment on somebody's post. Even when they reply, usually the replies are not at all what I meant, and there's no curiosity about what I did mean. There's no give and take, there's no conversation. The deep listening is missing there. And speaking of comment replies, I generally don't see them tailored to the individual. The person whose post it is generally has a program that they follow, and they see the comments fitting in certain categories. They either need redirection or praise or some other reply that fits into what their view of healing is. Something that can happen in a one-on-one or small group situation is that the leader or the guide, the therapist, I should just call them therapists going forward, is able to tell what that person needs. They're able to discern whether the resistance is information or whether it's avoidance. In my work with somatic therapy, resistance is information, even if it is information that they're trying to avoid something. Being able to guide a person to stay with the resistance until they discover what it is on their own is a skill for healing. It's a skill that a therapist can provide for their clients. I don't see it being a skill that an Instagram person can provide for hundreds of comments. The next limitation I see is encouraging people to expand their vocabulary. And I'm not talking about words in the dictionary. I'm talking about vocabulary for their inner experience. Whether it's an emotion or a bodily sensation, encouraging people to find their own words and then expand them. I come across a lot of people where they don't know much more than pain and not pain, comfort and discomfort. With individual work, you get to know better where that person is, what their vocabulary is, what their vocabulary means to them. When it comes to a comment, it's all semantics. It's just words. You don't get the tone of voice, which is very important. You don't have the background where that word might mean something different to them than it means to most people. A quick example of that would be the suggestion to breathe. Now, you wouldn't think that breathing is harmful in any way. Being told to breathe, being asked to breathe, being invited to breathe. But there will be people who have injuries around the breath, where a parent or some other authority figure in their life told them to breathe as a way to suppress their emotions. So there's not a one-size-fits-all to therapeutic work. Learning your audience's vocabulary is important, encouraging them to expand their vocabulary to include more than pain and not pain, comfort and discomfort. Showing them how to sit with those painful or uncomfortable situations. And if they can't sit with it, then figure out how to have them sit beside it and explore those things. Something that's happened with me personally in these group type situations is that I'm really interested in the resistance. I will bring it forward. I will explain, or at least attempt to explain, what that why that resistance is important and what information I've gotten from the resistance. The responses I've received are not helpful, and I'm very lucky that I am far enough in my healing journey that I know that's about them. I'm afraid that there are people there that aren't as fortunate, that they don't realize that that's what's happening. It's a struggle for me to point it out when I see it, when I see the resistance as a wound that needs healing and not put into a box of, oh, that's your ego talking, or I can't think of another example off the top of my head, but I'm sure there are others. Whenever something comes up for me that seems, oh, that doesn't seem quite right, I'm able to stay with it and say, okay, why doesn't this feel right to me? If someone doesn't have that skill, if no one's shown them that skill, they're not going to have the same ability to say, oh, that's about them. They might think, oh, that's about me. I'm doing it wrong. My ego's in the way. I just need to change myself, be a different person. And that's not healing, frankly. And there's one bit that's particular to my somatic therapy work, and that's compassionate touch. Personally, I believe that's a really important part of healing, where you can reach out and touch someone. The energetic transfer, the help with boundaries, saying, this is you, this is me, this is where we meet. It helps us get in contact with our bodies. It helps us focus on a particular part if that particular part is uncomfortable or in pain. It helps us really be there. It offers support. And I know that's not generally the way therapy goes, and certainly not on the internet. But for me and my work, that's really important. Now, all that being said, I really believe that these Instagram therapists have valuable things to say. They have incredible insights, and they make really good connections that a lot of people need to hear. However, when it comes down to individual guidance, I don't see that that's the place for healing. I wish it could be. I really do, because I think the more people that get healed, the better. I'm still searching myself for a modality that might be able to make huge transformational leaps at once. Until I find that thing, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and offering individual support where I can build a relationship with a person, where I can listen to them deeply, where I can offer attuned responses, where I can really connect with their story so I can guide them on the next step. And I encourage everyone to find a modality that works for them. For me, it's through somatic therapy, which is transformative touch. There are other kinds of somatic psychotherapists. There are body workers, there are psychics, there are mediums, there are tarot card readers, there are movement therapists, yoga teachers, massage therapists, any kind of body work, Reiki practitioners. The options are endless for relationship, for healing relationship. If you're willing to put in the time to find the person that resonates with you, it makes all of the bits of information that you get from these Instagram posts that much more powerful. It will bring the connections that you make in your thoughts down into your body and out into your life.